It's a world where humans have stopped existing. It's called Samurai Frog Golf.
Where did that idea come from, as in like that concept?
I don't know, man. I got like a bunch of these wacky ideas.
You said that you was kind of like non-stop. Did you rest much?
No, I was here well into the night every single day for the entire 4 months.
What was that? How was that?
Oh, piece of cake.
Easy. Your background at Red Rover Studios.
That was the back in the days. Those were the good times.
How did you end up like leaving Red Rover?
I was fired once for being a shithead. As a kid, I was running wild.
Hey Brent.
Hi Jamie, how are you?
I'm very good, man. How's it going?
It's going quite well, thank you.
Is that a real background? That's a great view you got there.
Yeah, I think it is.
I guess we could start with just a introduction of yourself and a bit about your background, Brent. That'd be great.
Sure. Well, my name is Brent Forrest. I'm Canadian born. I've been in the animation business for about 25 years. For the last 9 years, I've been here in Tokyo, where I've worked in 4 different animation studios. Over the past 5 years, I've made a professional change in what I do for a living. I've gotten out of the creative and gotten more to the technical side of things. Done a lot of programming, done a lot of learning about programming and how to build pipelines. And I do that at work, and on the side, I like to work on my own creative projects at home. So with my creative partner, Tobias Schlage, who's from Germany, we created a couple of films while we were out here that did pretty well. They took us to Annecy 1 year and SIGGRAPH another year. And most recently, a film that I was going to be making independently got picked up by the studio, and that's what's been taking up most of my time these days. That's my latest film called Samurai Frog Golf. That was my last finished film. What I'm working on right now, I've got a new film in the works, which I've gone back to doing independently.
Crack and Like and Follow, were those more independent movies?
Yeah. Like and Follow was the first movie I made together with Toby. And then after that, we made sort of like a quasi follow-up sort of sequel, which was Crack.
Yeah, how did they come about?
Toby and I are both impulsive filmmakers before we met each other, which we, tried to make a film on our own. And we've both found that our films weren't getting much traction. I said, well, look, we're both shown that we can make a film. Why don't we make something together? And this time, let's focus on, first of all, doing it as a team. And let's also focus on getting it in front of people, getting them seen. Like and Follow was actually based on one of Toby's stories. I really liked his idea. So working together with him, that allowed us to attract other people to the cause, and also really, really aggressively, quote unquote, marketing and get it seen by as many people as possible. Both me and Toby and a lot of guys who I work with, we just love making films, and we don't need an excuse to do it, but it takes time and resources. So Like and Follow helped open up those resources that we wanted to do our next things.
Brilliant. Yeah, we're going to talk about Samurai Frog Golf mainly today. The style, the animation, everything about it really, and just dive deep into the process.
Yeah, I love talking about Samurai Frog Golf. So like I said before, it was going to be an indie project. So after we'd finished Like and Follow and Crack, we were going to do like a third phone film. We had the third one. But Toby was like, I don't want to do the goddamn phone anymore. Just do something new. What else have we got? And I was like, well, we got the assets. Why don't we just keep on using them? No, that's sick of it. I said, okay, well, look, I got this idea. I want to do something with samurais, a golfing samurai. I have something about a golfer who's holding a samurai sword.
Where did that idea come from, as in like that concept?
I don't know, man. I got like a bunch of these wacky ideas. My dad is an avid golfer, and golf was always like a big part of the landscape when I was growing up. My dad was always golfing and taking me golfing and telling me golf jokes. And we lived next to a golf course for 3 houses in a row. Like it had to be. I thought a lot about this stuff. I thought about how you have all of these things that are so similar in like the samurai stories and in the zen of golfing. Like you must be extremely centered and balanced and calm, and you have to balance extreme power with extreme precision. I had an idea about these 2 golfers running through the woods, jumping through the air, slashing at each other with golf clubs and playing a round of golf at the same time. Oh, I'd made previous films before which were like just about playing a game. I made a film about a couple of 2 guys who were just playing pool because I love pool. So I thought, I want to do a golf film. I want to do something about golf. So it came from that. And then like it became a frog just based on some doodles I was doing for a character design quarterly. And this drawing I did of this big fat frog with the sword got a lot of positive reaction. So that was the inception of the whole thing. So me and Toby started working on that and doing the storyboards. Early on, I was like, I want to have a really unique style to this. So we went to this place called the Moku Hong Kong print shop in Asakusa. There's a place owned by a man named David Bull, and he's quite well known out here. He hand carves and creates woodblock prints in the traditional way that has been done throughout history in Japan. Started talking to him. I told him who we were and what we were doing. And he was like, oh, yeah, who are these dummies? I'll tell you about. I had it in mind we were going to do something. Not entirely a moving woodblock print, but I wanted to learn as much as possible about it because I wanted that inspiration to drive the look. The look we did was, I would say, a mixture of like a Van Gogh Starry Night with this woodblock kind of look, and like a lot of input from a lot of different departments to figure out this look, and quickly too. We had to figure it out quickly. I didn't quite know exactly what I wanted to do. I knew what the building blocks were, but we had to piece it together. So our team really made some cool stuff happen, and we were doing stuff with the computer that we hadn't done before.
What would you say for this project was a real challenge? You know, you were doing things differently that you hadn't done before on past projects.
I've had that question before. What was a challenge? This project was a constant pressure cooker. We had 4 months to get the thing out. 4 months to do 3.5 minutes of animation from start to finish. First of all, scheduling had to be locked up tight. It became a game of hours, a game of minutes. Like,
really?
It's like today's the day the main character gets modeled, and it's not going for retakes. Like that, today's the day. And like we had to hit the marks. There was no going back. There was no time. Our publishing for render, oh man, I spent a long time on that. Like again, like getting to the rendering, it's just the freaking worst.
Did you get involved with the technical side setup of that? Was you involved in setting up that farm?
Yes, I was in the tech department. I am in the tech department, and I was into the tech department, and I still am. But like wrangling the new pipeline when there was something that wasn't working for this project, it was tough, you know, because we didn't have time to debug. We just needed to get it to work. So there was a lot of, you know, a lot of getting my hands in the machinery and just forcing the frames through. Animation, no problem. They are crack animators here. Like they're quite good. I think we were like 2 days ahead of schedule on animation, but the rendering, man, prepping for render.
Was it set render and just fingers crossed it turns out fine?
No, it's not just the rendering. It's doing the baking to alembic. So we don't just render from rig.
Oh, of course.
We prep the shots. And so there's a process. There's like the animation finaling, then there's the baking, and then there's the lighting, and then there's the rendering. So if you can get the baking working, then the render will pretty much go off well. But the baking was having some problems. It was a lot to bear to get that stuff through. Just sitting there and testing the stuff and watching errors go in through there and going into every single file and like redoing it manually. Yeah, it was tough. That was a challenge. But it was all a challenge, you know. That was just a particularly irritating challenge because it was just menial grunt labor that needed to be done, and there was no way to do it but to do it.
But obviously, your skill set is more, you know, TD. You've got animation, VFX, and to get this project through the door, did you find that you were jumping into other roles?
I jumped into every role that needed to be done because we didn't have the money to hire people for every role. I modeled the hero characters. I did layout, did set dress. Animated one shot, special effects. I wanted to do the special effects. That was going to be my thing from the start anyways. Of course, storyboards, edit, and wrangling the technical aspects, building the tools that we needed to build and managing the pipeline. Yeah, it was, I really wanted to give this a good shot. So there was, it was a considerable amount of work.
And was it like late nights? You said that you was kind of like non-stop. Did you rest much?
No. I was here well into the night every single day and the weekends for the entire 4 months.
What was that? How was that? Was that severe burnout at the end?
Oh, piece of cake.
Easy.
It was hard. No, I was cracking up towards the end. Of course it was
really
hard. Yeah, it took a huge toll, but that's what it takes for that type of challenge. I'm not saying that I enjoy working myself like that. I don't, but it was required for this job, which I felt very strongly about.
Sometimes, you know, when you're involved so much and you do love it and you do want to get to the end, you really do what it takes to get it through the door, you know.
For sure, if your heart's in it, and if it's something that's yours, and you've been given an opportunity, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Would there be anything that you would do differently on that project, knowing what you know now?
I think what I would have done differently, I think I might have become rather unpleasant towards the most important people on the team. I probably would have made a much more serious effort to go easy on my teammates. I might have let my frustration boil over a couple times, and that's something that I would have done differently had I been given another chance.
The world of the Samurai Frog, is there ideas to revisit it and expand on the stories? What's your idea for the bigger world of these characters?
It's a world where humans have stopped existing. It's been so long, no one's ever seen a human, but there are trappings of the human race which have just fallen into legend. And our local area, our local country, is the remains of an abandoned golf course where these creatures, their ancestors, watched these giants of legend play this game of the past, which is kind of become ingrained in their society. So they all have this take on what golf is. It has kind of become, their own way of life and religion in some ways. But that's just one part of it. We follow our hero, who is an ex-samurai. He's an ex-soldier who fought and lost in this great war between turtles and frogs. And the frogs became subjugated and homeless. And so he's just led this life of pain and degradation. And he's vowed, he says, I'm done with this. It cost him everything. He just wants to live out the rest of his life in peace, playing the game of legend. He melts his sword down, turns it into a golf club, and that's where we meet him. He's off there playing this game, but he gets twisted up through this turn of events, and this turtle egg gets swapped for his golf ball one day out on the field, and he becomes the unwilling foster father. And he has to grudgingly return this baby to the homeland of his enemies. And this journey takes him across the 18 different lands, which we play as like 18 holes of golf. But every step along the way, we learn more about him, and his caddy is this sugar glider who kind of like rounds out the companionship. The sugar glider is a very carefree and loving sort of maternal character. And they go off and they meet old friends and old enemies and new enemies. Face the ghosts of the past. That's kind of the heart and soul of what this is all about. It's a hero's journey following our kind of anti-hero, looking at prejudice through the twin lenses of the samurai and the golfer. And that's Samurai Frog Golf, as I see it.
Nice, man. That's awesome. Would there ever be a Ninja Turtles crossover? Because I know in the movie, is it the third one, where they're also samurais?
Well, what are the Ninja Turtles? I've never heard of that. I know, I'm just kidding. No, yeah, of course. Of course there's something. In the original version of the film, we see he doesn't just rescue one, he rescues all the babies, and he's now living among his former enemies as a foster father. The babies have grown up, and the babies themselves have learned the lessons. You see those turtles going out and coming to the aid of a crow, who are historically their enemies. So instead of perpetuating the cycle of revenge and violence, we see them starting a new cycle of forgiveness. And that's kind of at the heart and soul of what I wanted to do, and at the same time have fun with this grab bag of golf stories that I've always wanted to tell, golf jokes and golf stories, so many from my dad. My dad's been filling my head with them, and I just there's so many cool, funny, neat little golf stories and jokes, and they would just fit so well in a samurai serial.
Brilliant, man. What was the feeling like when it was the last day up for you on that project? Was it a you can breathe moment?
I was really happy. I was quite happy about it. I was very happy. It was great. Here's the thing. When a film is finished, when you're done a production, that's not the end. That's like barely the halfway point. But then we're moving on to the next stage, which is development. We're trying to make more of this. We're trying to make more of them. We're trying to see where this takes us. We're trying to sell.
It's another bag, isn't it?
I'd gone through the ringer enough times to know to like not get too excited just because the film is done. Because now it's time for film festival submissions and set up some meetings with some guys and the preparation of the supplemental materials and all this and that. And we made like 15 short animations to go along with it. film premiered at SIGGRAPH in Vancouver last year, so we all went down there for the thing, and there was meetings after meetings, and all kinds of people doing all this sort of stuff and just trying to say, like, here we are. Here's Marza. This is what we've got. This is who we are. This is what we're trying to do. You got to love the process, right? Was I excited when the film was done? Yes, very happy. But the process, the ongoing process, the ongoing, this mountain's done, but there's another mountain. Like, you got to revel in that. You got to enjoy those uncomfortable challenges, And so it goes on. Of course, as this goes, we start a new project and start a new film. Start the madness all over again. That's how I like it. It is very exciting to finish a film, though. It's very exciting when a film is done.
Yeah.
I want to do more of a real-time thing for the next one because I detest rendering. I detest the whole photoreal process or the hyperreal or however it is. I really, really don't enjoy it. I want the results.
Yeah, man. No, totally. Is it something that you've considered then, like real time, like Unreal or Unity and things like that for
We're
future?
going to be doing something very similar to that for our next film, and we've been talking to some guys who build like a custom 2D styled renderer called what I can't remember what the thing is. It's called. It's not Verve. It's Flare. It's called Flare.
Flare. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's called Flare. So, we were looking at that, also looking at Blender and Grease Pencil, and also looking at some stuff that of my own design, but probably we're going to be doing Blender.
We love Blender. So it's Maya at the moment, is that correct?
Everything I've done up until now has been in Maya, but for the next film that I want to make, I want to do Blender. I just jump in and learn it with sink or swim kind of deal.
That's the best way to learn, we find.
Yeah, because we're doing something very 2D styled, very UPA. Do you know UPA?
No, what's this?
UPA is a style of animation that was made popular in the 50s, which was kind of a very anti-Disney style, very stripped down, very graphic and stark, bold and striking. I mean, if you look at old cartoons like George of the Jungle or Rocky and Bullwinkle, you'll kind of get what I'm saying.
Hurry, Bullwinkle! The show's about to start!
I'm coming as fast as I can.
Your animation side of it, your background at Red Rover Studios.
Wow, Red Rover, though, that was for me. That was the back in the days. Those were the good times, Those were the good days of animation. I when I was a kid, I always said that I knew what I wanted to do since forever. I wanted to be a Disney animator. That's what I always said. I knew what animation was. So out of high school, I got a co-op placement at this studio called Red Rover, who was owned by the late great Andy Knight, who is one of the finest draftsmen Canada ever produced, definitely one of its best animators and studio owners, who sadly passed away in 2008. But anyways, I started working there, and I was basically just doing any jobs they gave me. I was making coffee, and I was cleaning the fish tank, shooting animation. They said, don't go to university. You want to animate, just stick around here. You'll get a better education. You get paid for it.
Hell yeah.
Man, oh man. Did we ever have a good time? And nobody really knows about Red Rover, which is a shame, because that place is a real part of Canadian animation. And yeah, that was Red Rover. That's how I got my start, when I was a punk kid.
What was it like going from the 2D into the world of 3D? Was that transition at Red Rover for yourself, Brent?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I was always kind of into the technical side of things. I was the only one there who was messing around with computer graphics. And I was just doing it as a hobby at home, and I was learning it in high school. But the time came around the end of the 90s when the studio had to make a transition, had to start incorporating 3D because it had to be a part of the package. We were doing cereal commercials, and they needed a 3D shot of the box and stuff. So it's well, everything else is 2D, but we need this box. So, outsource to another studio? No, just get a copy of 3D Studio Max and Brent, here, you learn how to use that. And,
you can do it, right?
Yeah, you made those spinning logos. You learn 3D Max. And then they brought on some guys who were already 3D experts. So a big studio of 2D animators. Slowly we brought on this one guy who was a 3D guy, and I was working with him. But I didn't really gel with this guy because I was kind of 2D through and through, and the 3D guys and the 2D guys kind of didn't get along so well. So they fired that guy. So eventually they hired this other guy, and they brought in a team of 4. Then came an opportunity where it was my mom. I think this was about 2002, And my mom told me, look, you're really into the 3D. You got to learn Maya.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you go to college and learn Maya. And I said, okay, Mom, I'll go learn Maya. And so we had all these 2D guys who didn't really work with the 3D guys who were doing 3ds Max. And there's me who came back. That was at like 21 or something. And I was teaching these guys how to use Maya, the animators, the guys who like animate proper. We made this little pilot, got a TV show off the ground. First full CG Canadian-made Disney series ever made. It was called Get Ed, and it was Andy's brainchild.
That's really cool. Thanks to your mom.
My mom had a major hand in every good thing that's ever happened in my career. She encouraged me. I was failing math and science and stuff in high school, and because I really didn't like it. And she said, "Yeah, you know what? Stuff really isn't for you. Why don't you just take art and computer?" And
how did you end up like leaving Red Rover? Was it just naturally sort of come to an end, or did you try new things?
I left Red Rover and came back twice or 3 times. I was fired once for being a shithead. I pushed it way too far. Like I said, like as a kid, I was running wild. You know, I decided instead of coming back to the studio and finishing up my work on this Camry logo, I was going to go play Frisbee in the park with my burnout friends. And even after they called me, it's like, yeah, whatever. For good reason, I was fired. I would come and go to Red Rover every so often if I could, you know. Then I met my who would become my wife, and we got married in 2008. And the same year, same month, I got a phone call from my friend Greg Court, and he said, "Are you sitting down?" And he said, "Yeah, and Andy just died." Well, that was pretty much it. That was the end of it. And Red Rover did continue to function as a company. It was taken on by Cardinal Curtis and eventually rebranded it as House of Cool. As legendary as Andy was in animation, these guys are equally legendary when it comes to storyboarding. So Red Rover became House of Cool, and House of Cool has gone on to great success. You know, if anything, I feel grateful for Ricardo for keeping the few people who were a part of the Red Rover team who were still there. And those guys are all still working. You know, they're off in California and Vancouver, and some are still in Toronto, and I'm here in Tokyo.
What was it like arriving in Japan and starting on projects there? Was it similar?
What's the difference between working with the teams in Canada and Japan? I'll say that it's been much more multicultural here in Japan, for one thing. Yeah, I mean, they say Canada multicultural, this and that. No. Working in Tokyo, it's really been a mixed bag of people. Of course, most studios, it's mostly like 50% Japanese, and then 50% people from all over the world. So like that's been cool. There's the language barrier, there's a culture barrier you have to overcome. There's procedural differences, which are part of the cultural differences in how things are done. And I could talk for an hour on all of that. But yes, there are differences. But animation is animation no matter where you are. And as long as you've got, you know, a good team, a good studio, and good leadership, I think that Japan is a really cool place to work. And I can say pretty confidently that I have not enjoyed working anywhere, with the possible exception of Red Rover back in the salad days, than I enjoy working where I'm working right now. I really like this place.
Nothing beats working someone that you enjoy. Brent, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I just want to say thanks for your time, man.
Oh, the pleasure's been mine. Thank you so much, Jamie.
Have a lovely evening, and we'll speak to you very soon, man.
Thanks, Jamie. Have a good one. Talk again, okay?
You too, man. Take care, Brent.
All right, bye for now.
Bye, buddy.